Yay! Hello, hello, and welcome to this week of Training Tuesday Live. It's Magnet Marketers, where goal is always to help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. And how'd you guys like our intro? We did our countdown video. Shout out to John Flanagan helping us make it, and me figuring out how to push a button. And StreamYard making it incredibly easy. We're playing around with some of their tools here, like the overlays and everything else, and all the changes and add-ons that they have to this tool, which plays in perfectly to all that we're going to talk about today, which is changes in social media, online marketing, something that is always changing and evolving, but we want to bring you here what you need to know and how it applies to your brand. We've got some good friends with me here to talk about just that. But before we introduce the lovely Julia, quick hello. If we've not met before, my name is Jessica Phillips with Now Marketing Group in the Relationship Marketing System, where my primary goal is to help you love more, give more, and be more through the art of authentic relating using some relationship marketing tools. And my awesome co-host, how's it going, Mike?
Doing well. Wow, that was great.
You like it? Yeah, I loved it. I was like, John, this is spot on what we're looking for. Just, how to make it fancy. I was on StreamYards yesterday, their first live stream with Julie Riley, which was amazing. She did a fantastic job. And they had that countdown in the background. I was like, I need to step up our game here, But yeah, no. So if you guys have not met Mike before, he is my awesome co-host, going on 8 years now. But Mike Gingrich is president of web development and software firm called Digital Hill Multimedia. He's a published author 5 times over, triathlete, runner, biker, and leading business blogger at MikeGingrich.com.
Hey, I'm doing well, Jessica, and looking forward to this. Because there's always a ton of updates, and we get to welcome Julia to be with us today. So for those who don't know Julia, let me just give a little background. She's the brand manager at Now Marketing Group. Julia loves all things social. You're gonna feel that today, and digital marketing. Her specialty taking the anti-highlight reel approach to social media, believing that when we use self-awareness as our superpower to tap into what makes us special, we have the ability to bring that front and center on social media to truly create connections. Julia's thing is helping other people show up, take up space, and speak openly. Julia, do it.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. It's super exciting to be here on camera because I'm usually the one behind the keyboard saying hi, thanking you guys all for watching.
I was going to say, you are usually the Oz behind the curtain. So if you guys have been on the show in the past, I don't know, it's coming on 6 months now?
I think 5 since October.
I don't know what we did before, Julia. I'm just going to say. But anyway, since Julia's been here, she is the community manager helping us run all the things in the comments and connecting and bringing our guests in, making sure everybody has a good experience. She has a wealth of information in social. And so she lives and breathes these changes that we're going to be talking about here today, as well as she's attended some recent trainings put on by the amazing Agora Pulse with their Instagram summit that was just flawless. I can't wait to go watch some of those replay videos. But Julia, you attended and had a lot of good things to say about that. And we were like, you know what? We need to make this discussion today kind of a twofer. So you guys are going to get all the goods, but it's going to go really fast because we have a lot of social media updates to cover, all important to your business, as well as some really solid nuggets of good information of how you can start maximizing Instagram now. Because as Julia's bio said, she wants you to get the anti-highlight reel. She wants you to get in it and do the work and really reap the benefits of it. So Julia, I have to say I'm loving having you on this side of the screen. We should do it more often.
Yeah, this is really fun. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. So as we get going, again, it's going to go a little bit rapid fire as we go down these. Definitely feel free to jump in the comments and let us know what questions you have, as well as type the word recap. We'll make it super easy for you. If you ever wanted somebody to take notes for you in class, this is what this is for you. You literally just type the word recap in the comments. If you're joining us on Facebook, if you join us anywhere else, definitely type recap. We'll make sure that you get the blog information that will be sent directly into your inbox to have all the notes on what we're going to talk about today. So are you guys ready to do this?
Ready.
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. So first of social media updates of many that we want to talk about. And these are all the ones that are important to brands. The first one I want to mention is all about Twitter and Twitter Spaces. Have you guys heard of Twitter Spaces? I'm sure.
Yeah. Twitter's going head to head with Clubhouse.
Yeah. So Twitter
Jumping in.
Spaces. Mike, do you want to say what it is? And then we can break it down.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Clubhouse competitor, right? I mean, so that they're only available on the mobile version, and it just kind of rolling out some new features as we go. But yes, think of it as Clubhouse. If you've been there, hopefully you have. If you're on, so maybe you haven't been because you're an Android user, right? With Clubhouse, so a little sketchy there. So Twitter gives you this option. And it's kind of in rollout. We've been able to join some. I'm not sure if everyone has the option for it yet. Okay, so
not yet, but you can. So they are rolling out to where you can view it. So if you see the circles on the top of Twitter, so basically, in short, like if you're not familiar with even Clubhouse, this audio only social platform is just dominating attention right now by many. Okay. So audio only, meaning that you can join in, you can participate. Imagine you're listening to a live podcast that you can participate in. That's what it is. And Clubhouse has kind of owned and dominated that space. You've probably heard us mention it quite a bit on here. I know our guests have mentioned it, people that are more kind of connected into that digital world. But if you're not yet familiar with it, it's something that you definitely want to keep a look out for, and at least participate in listening about it or testing it out, because Clubhouse has owned and dominated the space, like Mike had mentioned, and Julia had mentioned. Kind of Twitter's now coming at that market saying, no, we want to roll out Twitter Spaces, which when you go to Twitter on the mobile app, you'll see those circles at the top, which that has been the Fleets rollout that we'll touch on next, but it's kind of like a stories for Twitter. If you want to imagine that, you can take some of your tweets that you're sharing out and make it a fleet. And then now in that section, you'll notice when some of those circles come together as one, and you see almost like this moving little, almost like an audio icon going, that's Twitter Spaces happening right there in real time. Because what's cool about both of these spaces is that it's real time only. So you have to be there to participate, to listen in, and to join in on that conversation. So not only can you listen in, you can raise your hand, or they have different prompts on each network to participate. So what's cool about it is there's been people like Elon Musk on Clubhouse talking live for 2 hours. I mean, imagine you just getting to have a conversation, ask questions to some of your favorite thought leaders that you admire, or clients even, right? Like picking their brain. I hate that word, but asking for conversation and feedback, maybe on things that they're looking for, or even just listening into what others have to say. Audio is growing at a rapid rate, and Twitter wants to be part of it. And there's rumors that Facebook is coming next with something. So, if all the big ones are kind of joining in with wanting something that is going to offer audio only as a means of engagement, that's a real-time live that you have to participate in, it's something we maybe should start thinking about as part of our overall strategy.
And I think that's really what you see so often when it comes to social media and the evolution of it is something takes off, some functionality takes off on one platform, and the rest of the platforms take a look and say, okay, how can we adopt that into our platform? Snapchat, Instagram was like, okay, we're going to take that story functionality. TikTok, Instagram was like, we'll launch Reels. So every single social platform is kind of looking at what is working on the other ones and figuring out how do we make that work for our platform.
Yeah. How many years, Jessica, have we said everyone is saying this is the year of video, right? And suddenly we have something different. 2021's got to be the year of audio right here.
I freaking love it. Because what I'd say, I was like, I am an audio message person. Like, I love sending audio messages. So as soon as it came out, it was so funny. I love that you invited me. First, Mike, like you sent me my invite. And so many people are like, oh, you got to check. This is like your jam, because I love audio messages, because I'm not always camera ready. I have kids around me. I get in the zone. I think I messaged you guys like 30 minutes before the show. And I was like, oh crap, I need to get like camera ready because I've just been in the zone. But I love Clubhouse for that reason, or just the thought of audio only. And this is the conversation that I had. I won't spend too much time on this point, but the conversation I had 2 days ago with someone that was an Android user. So they were very upset about Clubhouse and really just like, you know what, it's going to be here today and gone tomorrow. Like, I'm not even going to worry about it. I was like, well, because you can use it on iPad if you have that, or some people even changed in their phones. And so I was mentioning about Twitter Spaces and the conversation with Facebook, but this person was just dead set on, no, I don't want it. Like, it's just going to be gone tomorrow. Clubhouse is just a fad, yada, yada. And I was like, here's the thing though. Blab was here for a moment, right? Like Vine was here for a moment, right? And gone. And who's to say, Julie, I love that you brought up, about Snapchat and others kind of taking what a platform is doing well and integrating into their marketing. So and some people then like Facebook, for example, and Instagram, I feel like their stories are dominating a certain market for that reason. And even though they weren't first to market, but even if they close down tomorrow, if Clubhouse shut down tomorrow, knock, knock, I hope it doesn't happen because I am a fan and I loved Blab too. And it was gone in a short period of time. That's not the point. It's all about how you're showing up to build connections and relationships. Those things can't cancel unless you stop showing up. So if you use it and you're building these relationships, like how many guests have we had on here, Mike, in just a short period of time? And Julia, because you've sent the invites. For people that were met on Clubhouse, those relationships are going to continue and deepen. So it's not about the tool that you're using. It's about how you're showing up and the technique that you're using to approach those situations to make sure you get the maximum benefit. So do you go all in on every new thing? No. But do you pay attention? And if you show up and truly invest in using the platform the way to build relationships, are you going to miss out anything? No, it's a good use of our time, when used right. So, yeah.
Yeah. A couple final comments from me on Twitter Spaces, and that is, I think that people like Clubhouse, you started from scratch. Now it's had rapid growth, but people kind of had to build kind of their community that way. So a uniqueness of Twitter is that people who have an engaged following already on Twitter kind of have a ready-made community, as they move into a space then. So we'll have to kind of see how that plays out. Does Twitter have a little bit of an advantage there? Of course, they're behind. I mean, the first mover has been Clubhouse. It's gained enormous popularity, and now Twitter Spaces is coming. Can they get there? That's not rolled out to everybody, but a lot of people are on Twitter already and engaged and have engaged followers on Twitter. So will we see it? Same type of thing where you can have that kind of, group, and then you can kind of see who is also listening, and, very similar in that regard. So I think the year of audio, we're going to see how these play out. I'm just waiting for the day for Zuckerberg to say we're in, it's coming. And so we'll have to kind of see how those weave together, but that's a little uniqueness of Twitter, just that they've got that background and people have communities. So we'll see how that plays into it.
Yeah, and I love that on Twitter you can make an audio tweet. I've done a couple of them. I've been laughed at for it, but I don't care because I love audio messages, and I actually got some inbox responses to those audio messages. So I just think audio in general. You know what I mean? Like, you can hear the tone. People want to know what's behind the play, if you will. In my opinion, at least I do. And maybe that's just the kinesthetic in me that love hearing that and tapping into it. So regardless, I think it's just something to pay attention to and say, how can I show up and maximize my time on a platform that's going to help me build the relationships the fastest? Because you're going to hear this common thread through everything we're going to share today, again, from what Julia, had attended with the Instagram summit with Agora Pulse and her big takeaways there. I think that's going to bring it full circle, in a lot of these things that we're talking about today. So the next thing is Twitter Fleets. We mentioned it briefly as we're talking about like kind of what that is. Think of it like stories on Twitter. And I don't know, are you guys using it? Julia, are you using Twitter Fleets?
Not so much. Because again, I kind of feel like when I find a functionality on a platform that I really like, I kind of go all in there. And I loved your point about like, as a brand, you don't have to give yourself a headache trying to show up with on every platform using every functionality, but it's about being mindful of what does exist where so that you can tap into it. Because I've used Fleets a little bit, but I didn't get a lot of engagement. And I was like, you know what? My audience isn't engaging here. My time is better spent on Instagram where my audience really does engage.
Love that. Love that. You have to go where your audience, you can't expect them to go to you.
Yep.
And it's really paying attention to that. So I love that you're monitoring that. I'm not surprised at all. I love how you're monitoring that. Speaking of monitoring, Jacqueline says she's got you covered today because she is holding down the comments in the chat here. So thank you so much for that, Jacqueline. You are amazing. She's our CMO. Good to see you as well. Jen in here, as well as Julie. I was just talking about you and what a great job you did yesterday. Jen says, Fleets are fun to use. I don't use them as often as I could, but got to develop that habit, right? You are absolutely right. You never know, but I love that you're playing around with it. But the big thing with Fleets, like I said, you can take a tweet and you can share it as a fleet, but now they're adding in some more tools, some visual tools to add in some stickers and emojis and try to make it more fun. So you never know. Like, I think people are very slow to adapt to even Facebook stories, in my opinion. And still that way on Reels with Instagram, in my opinion. So I feel like some things you just try out, and people, as some of the features evolve, then they may dive in. But just to be aware of it as a brand, it's something that's there. So I could definitely see you doing a contest as a brand using Fleets. It's a fun way to get people directly to, what you're wanting to share versus telling them to go to your Twitter profile and maybe you're sharing a lot of tweets, because Twitter is like that fast food restaurant, is quick on the go, quick content that's here and gone in a split second. Whereas like some other tools, it's going to live on a little bit longer. So maybe play around with it and see how you could potentially bring in some of that adoption if your audience is on Twitter and make it fun. But make it something maybe different that you're doing on Fleets than you would be just in a tweet, if you will. And I would love to hear feedback of anyone that's tried this or seen some brands using Fleets really well. But those are some of the changes coming there.
Yeah. Maybe we can ask for that. How many in our audience today have you been in a space or used Fleets? How's everybody doing with that? So, George, not everybody. No, I've been able to. I don't have it. I can't launch a space, but I can. I've had joined, so I've seen it from that angle.
Tony does spaces, George. Tony, I think he has it on our team, and I'm not sure anyone else yet. I've seen extra options on there, so I honestly don't know if I have it or not. I want to say probably not, because you'd think they'd give you an alert. I don't know what it says when they give it to you, but I've seen more options on there, so I don't know if it's just me as a viewer, listener in, if you will, that they've expanded that or not. I haven't had enough time to kind of play around with it, but I am intrigued because, again, I love the audio component and the human component, I should say, to each of these updates that are happening. Yep. Speaking of that, the next one is Tick-Tock. I know both of you have ticked and talked. Oh, I sounded like a boomer there with that, but have used Tick-Tock and played around with it and are on it. I love being a stalker there, or a lurker. That sounds better on TikTok. I haven't really published anything. All my stuff's in drafts, but now they're opening it up for businesses, which is very cool. So instead of just a personal page, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think TikTok
Julie, dive in.
Yeah. I think it's super fun. I like the fast moving video. I mean, like Jessica, I created a lot of TikToks like early into quarantine. I was like, all right, lockdown, I'm just going to make a bunch of TikToks. And then Instagram launched Reels. And again, I'm all about like doubling down on where my community lives. So I was like, I'm going to utilize Reels. So I haven't made a TikTok in a while, but I think that for brands, TikTok is such a great platform to really start to bring humanity front and center, showcase the personalities of your team. I know that that's what we do for now. And it's just a like it's a great platform to just have fun and be human. And as we'll end up talking about in terms of Agora Pulse's Social Pulse Summit, that's really a consistent takeaway, is the more human you can be as a brand, the more you're going to drive engagement from your community.
Yeah, like we can see that, Jacqueline could show up and show her gangster side. As Eddie says, Jacqueline is a gangsta. Shout out. She is pretty freaking amazing. But yeah, I, like you, Julia, love the human side of TikTok. But honestly, I've got some really great how-to videos. I think I just shared with you. I found this channel that was a person just giving quick Canva tips. And I was hooked in on the content. And I participated in this summit, what was it, 2 weeks ago, Fire and Spark Summit, where there's a woman that was speaking on just this generation of social users and how people are very quick to scroll, right? To scroll before they stop on something. But if you've caught their attention, they dive all in. They don't even just watch all your videos that maybe on TikTok, but now they're going to check you out on Instagram and then go follow you here. If you've got their engagement or the attention, I should say, then you get the engagement. And I found myself doing that quite a bit on TikTok. If I seen something on TikTok and when it's done right, the people that have been on here have mastered, in my opinion, the art of either quickly educating or entertaining or using that edutainment, blend, to where then as soon as I see it, I don't just like on the post like I would on anything else and then kind of move on. I then want to see what else they've created. And I find myself like truly getting connected more to the creators there faster than I have on, I would say, on any other network. So I consume quite a bit of content there in everything from mindfulness to iPhone hacks, to Canva tips, to laughing, after hours and sending videos to my girlfriends on like, oh my God, this is hilarious. Like a little bit of everything there. So I love that they're making a place for brands where, I could definitely see a brand highlighting their team members. Like we have a channel for Now Marketing Group, but now they're expanding upon what brands can do there. Olivia on our team does a fantastic job managing that. And hey, Talisha, good to see you on here as well. So yeah, Mike, any thoughts on any other thoughts?
Just what you said, I think I echo that, in that the group that TikTok is really popular with really scrolls, but then when their attention is captured, really dives deep. And so I think that's a great takeaway for your TikTok content, for anyone that's going to be a relevant space where your community might be, is that, I mean, you can't be a one-hit wonder. I mean, that one, you might have something that goes viral and you get a lot, but people are going to go deep from that. They're going to come over and they're going to go through the rest. And so you'll have to, I think there is that importance of, if it's a place for you, you have to commit to it. Just like Julia said, she's made that commitment on Instagram. She's diving deep there. But I think that these new tools, the business profile option here, just a natural progression. TikTok's doing some powerful things there, some good things. That they've had just amazing, phenomenal growth, and demographic, like a typical trend. We're seeing that demographic, nudge up. Little older demographic, kind of, and so that means adoption, and so that's something for businesses to be aware of.
Yeah, and my kids to get annoyed with. Yeah, definitely. But no, so the big thing that's shifting there too, and what TikTok is listening, which I also think is a really key point here that we've kind of mentioned as a thread throughout too, is that these apps are listening to their market and adapting their model of their business and their app to what people are wanting and what they're showing up for. So what TikTok has rolled out, and we'll make sure to drop a link to the full article in the comments here. But again, if you're joining in and you want to recap recap of all the things we're talking about and links to the updates, definitely type the word recap in the comments. You'll get that directly into your inbox. If you're on Facebook, if you're on any other channel, we'll make sure to comment back to your recap and send you the link tomorrow when we publish it. So, but TikTok is rolling out insights as well as key tips. So brands can share those kind of tip videos and things on their channel to help them get a faster adoption. And I love the algorithm and what TikTok can bring. I have not personally went all in on it, kind of sticking to what Julia was talking about too. It's okay to say no to some things. So you got to find out what works good for you and go all in on where your audience is, and just make sure you're doing your channels and your audience justice for the amount of time that you have to show up online. So we're mentioning all these, not so you just, have to show up on all of them and try to figure it all out and make 10 more hours in the day, but really to be aware of it and say, you know what, this could be something that could, have a positive ROI on my business, or it could be something I just need to be aware of right now because I want to make sure that the time that I do have to invest and I'm using it the wisest to make the biggest impact with my audience. So just throw that there. Next up, Julia, this will be one of your favorites because I know that you love yourself some Instagram. Go ahead.
Jessica, do you want to take Eddie's question on TikTok before we move to outside of TikTok?
Oh, well, Eddie, I know you are super creative, so I'm sure that you can think of a ton of ways of using TikTok, but I've seen some brands that are using it like quick tip, like how it's made, depending on what your brand is and what you're allowed to show. I could see like, the quick, they have, I don't know what it's called, like the transitions of from here to here to here and like how something is made. I could see doing like, a fun, depending on who your audience is, I guess, you could do something fun, where it's you playing with The Office, maybe like the voiceover stuff from The Office and playing with the personalities there. I could see you just answering questions. The whole thing before you think of how do I show up and use it, think about who's your audience that you're trying to attract? What's your goal of the platform? Like, is it to humanize the brand? Is it to answer questions and educate? Is it to grow maybe your team? Maybe you want to show off the culture, but know for what purpose that you would be using the platform. And then how are you going to measure that success of it? So is it by, retention of people checking in and communicating with you and maybe asking, how do I get a job there? This looks fun. Or somebody that's like, oh my gosh, I always wondered how that was made, or whatever that looks like for you. But then set that up ahead of time and then reverse engineer on how can you show up to do it. And I love also looking and seeing what are other people doing and getting inspired, not copying, but looking and just seeing some of those creativity moments out there. I've seen several people, actually, Angus Nelson, he's amazing, a super good friend of both Now Marketing Group and myself. I admire a lot of things that he's doing. And, I follow a lot of the creators and I've seen just on his videos how he was adding like a progress slider bar on his videos. And like you take like little tips from people that are doing things really well. Like yesterday I was mentioning on StreamYard, I was like, oh, they have this great background in the countdown video. We need that. So get inspired by others and do your own thing from it. But just this overall awareness, I think, allows us to see what's possible and then ask your community what kind of content they want. So there's a lot of ways of going about it, but I have no doubt, Eddie, that you will come up with something even more amazing because you are so creative. But yeah. And George is here answering or asking some questions too. He wants to
give him examples right there
now, and he will too. He's super smart.
This is interesting though. But the comments though. So Eddie is on LinkedIn. George is commenting on Facebook. We got to hook them up somehow so that they can see the comments that they're doing there. But
good eye there, Mike. So George, pop on over to my LinkedIn. That's where Eddie's hanging out. Or Eddie, coming over to Facebook. I don't want you guys crossing over at the same time. Figure out a way to connect that way.
Yeah, we'll just tell. Yeah.
After.
Eddie, we'll have a link to the Facebook one in here afterwards. You can see George's comments there, so that they'll at least be there if you want to read them. Yeah.
Meta right now, very meta. Oh my goodness. All right. So, wow. Okay. Already at 30-minute mark. So we'll keep this speeding up. Won't spend a lot of time on it, but Instagram is launching multi-person lives, which is very cool. It used to only be one-to-one. Now you can have multiple people that's going to be able to go live together. And I'm not sure if this is just still on mobile or what. I've had hit and miss with Instagram lives. I'm not sure about you guys.
I've also actually had hit or miss on Instagram lives. Like I did a live once that the screen that I saw, the way that I looked on camera was not at all what people were watching. Like they were seeing something very different. So I've learned a lot on the go with Instagram live about how far you have to be from your camera and everything like that.
So be aware if you're working from home and are only prepared from here up to be on video.
I think it's the first step here towards maybe one day this show will actually also be on Instagram, right? I mean, that's they're moving that way, broadening that horizon. They add it to the API. StreamYard gets a hold of that. I mean, we could also Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I don't know. That'd be great, right?
Yeah. All of them are moving toward experiences and shared experiences together. So if you look at what Facebook did with their Messenger and how you can watch shows together, it's so cool. Like I'll hang out with the Queenies all the time. We'll go on and hop on. I have a portal right here, or we'll just use our phone and I'll hop on to a video call together. And then you can pull up your screen. You can watch things together. And Instagram, I think, is moving in that connection as well, or that in that direction as well, to make the connections easier to happen and for shared experiences to happen, especially right now as we're still kind of waiting for things to open back up and eager to go on, and meet people in real life. I think these kinds of things will continue to roll out. It shrinks, the distance between each other, as well as building better connections, and deepening those connections in a more human way. So I love what Instagram's doing. And honestly, I think we can just jump right into some of those Instagram takeaways. I will note that we will be mentioning as well on our blog recap, just a couple other things like LinkedIn's launching a freelance marketplace for freelancers, kind of, I think, competing with that Fiverr kind of marketplace. So lots of good info there if you are a solopreneur or looking for some people to hire. LinkedIn's going to be rolling out some of that. So we'll definitely include that in our recap. But I would love to stick on with Instagram because for the sake of time, because Julia, you just attended this Agora Pulse Instagram Summit, phenomenal job that they did there. And I really feel like, I know they're owned by Facebook, big parent company, but I feel like they're coming into their own with these connected experiences through shopping and stories and reels and all the things that they're doing that really has allowed brands to kind of step outside their normal comfort zone. I think it's a lot different feel in there than it is Facebook, definitely a lot different than LinkedIn or Twitter. It's this one platform I do feel like feels unique. And there's lots of different ways that brands can show up that have rapidly rolled out even more ways that they can then produce an ROI. So I would love to hear some of your takeaways from that summit. And Mike, definitely feel free to chime in as well. But Julia, just give us a kind of a high-level overview and then some of your favorite takeaways from there.
So, I mean, the high-level overview, you guys need to register for the Social Pulse Summit if you haven't already, because it is so much value, all for free. All the sessions are available. You can watch the replays until March 24th. I was one of the 30 plus speakers at this event, and there's just, everyone covered something different. So that's what's super cool about it, is like Instagram as a platform, there's just so much you can dive into, and every speaker kind of took their own unique approach. But I would say the main takeaway is that every single speaker touched on the humanity, touched on the fact that Instagram is an incredible place to build relationships. And so whether you are building your personal brand, whether you are working at an organization and trying to grow that brand, the more you can be human, the more you can show human faces and tap into the different features and functionality, that's going to be what really works. So I loved a lot of the different sessions. I mean, I attended a lot of them. Anne Handley Anne Handley is just an incredible speaker, and she really talked about like blending the personal and professional. And the title was Without Getting into Trouble or Being a Jackhole. Christine Gritman dove into content pillars, and Christine is so good when it comes to branding. She always inspires me. Like, she talked about how she adds a pop of red to every single photo in her feed. And just that little touch of a brand color, how that really helps to create that overall brand awareness and kind of that style guide.
And you're not kidding. And as soon as I see that color, like lipstick on someone, I'm like, that's Christine's. Like, you know, like it just shows up. Even the backgrounds, like in some of the videos that we do on our Now Yow Yow call, our team huddle that we do at the end of the week on Friday, I swear I see this red color in the background of one of our team members. And I'm like, Christine, is that you? Like, it definitely does work, you know, and I love those two topics because it does that common thread throughout, making sure that you have that. And also real people doing real things and telling a story in a real way that people can connect with you is huge on every platform. But Instagram, like it's what people expect, right? And I feel like that's sometimes that disconnect from brands to where they just feel that, oh, I can just put a quote and something, you know, and I'm good, or it's not working because I just want to put a link on here or whatever. And it's like knowing the audience, knowing the platform, and how to show up. I love those takeaways so far.
Yeah. There's so much you can do also. Like Amy and Caitlin from Simply Social New Mexico dove into guides. And guides is a totally new functionality on Instagram. It lives in its own little tab. So if you have a guide, it will show up like in between your Reels and your IGTV tab. And a guide kind of functions. It's almost like a mini blog post, or like think of like a Facebook Instant article. Yeah. It is an unbelievable feature that you can use for like how-tos, gift guides, tapping into your influencer network, your community. We're going to create one for now, kind of just showcasing our team. So there are so many different ways you can use just this one feature, and guides are literally just one. I mean, there's Reels, there's stories, there's so much you can do on the platform.
The guides I'm really, really interested in, because if you're sharing a lot of tips, like I could see, for example, like for us doing like, you know, we have content on how to do a Twitter audit or how to do a Facebook audit or whatever it is, or steps to going live on Instagram, right? Or whatever. And you can make it as a pieced out guide to help kind of guide you along the process. I had kind of, when I was going through it, it reminds me of almost like a Pinterest board, if you will, to where there's separate kind of things, but it allows you to kind of have this immersive, interactive experience as you're getting into it, because you can just quickly go through everything that's in there, which I really liked. So the visual aspect plus the deeper dive into the thing. And the SEO component within Instagram too, because now, as you can see on Instagram, we talked about this a few shows ago, there's alt text that you can add to each of the images that you're putting on to Instagram. And I highly, 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 highly encourage that every brand does this if you're not already, because the search functionality in Instagram, in which I'm not going to claim to have it all figured out. We're going to bring in experts for that to talk about that on this show, about how their algorithm works and how you can kind of tap in and know what kinds of keywords to put in there. But if you're using that alt text and you're putting the descriptions in your content that match up with what you're about, what you're sharing, how you want to show up, now you're going to be found more often in the feed. And for people that don't just, you know, already know your brand and then want to connect with you, people are using the search feature in Instagram more and more often. And what's cool about that search feature is that they're giving you suggestions below what you've searched to then see, oh, if you liked this, you'd like that. I ended up buying a skirt from a whole other company than I thought I was. I thought I was buying it from one company when I started out, but they didn't have the color that I wanted. And so the suggestion came below and I was like, oh, they do have that color. I clicked on it, purchased, and I was like, I thought I supported my friend's company, but I didn't. It was this other company. I still got the skirt, but now, like that's how it could work, right? Like people are just going there for what they're looking for. And we talked about the changes in just the shopping experience, like I just mentioned. All of this is integrating together to keep people on each platform longer, right? And have their whole human experience, like you were mentioning, Julia, there. And I know, Mike, you use Instagram quite a bit as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, but I think that's the money right there, is that they're just trying to roll out more tools that allow you to do more things and integrate those things within that. So tremendous stuff. Yeah. And Julia, I know you wouldn't want to toot your own horn, but I want to ask you to share what did you share in your session? What's the recap that they should go and watch then?
So in my session, I shared all about how to create deep connections on Instagram, because like I talked about a little earlier, my whole thing is the anti-highlight reel. And so I really dove into why it's so important to create content in real time, to be engaging, show up authentically, and really have that long-term mindset. Like we are all about it now. It's not about that short-term, it's not about a transaction. You're not on Instagram to just like make a sale. You should hopefully be there to meet people and build relationships, because I have made some of the best friends that I have through that platform. So if you have the mindset that it's possible, you'll show up with the right energy that then attracts the right people, and you can literally change your life through the connections made online.
And then you'll want to support them. Like I was just going to shop on my friend's store, and I went back then because I felt bad that I didn't make the transaction with the skirt. So I went back in and bought some pajamas from her, because my whole thing was wanting to support her, and I wanted to support her brand because I fell in love with the content, how she was showing up, what she was sharing, and that she was constantly there, being real. Like people are giving you shout outs to Gouda in the background. Yeah. And that's the real though, right? Like you weren't freaking out. You weren't like, oh my God, my dog's barking, I gotta mute, whatever. And people loved it, right? Like, so not getting caught up in that. And I'm highly encouraging. I've heard your sessions before. I didn't hear this last one, but I can't wait. I've heard your sessions before and others and other events that we've both spoken at, to where you tell the art of how to show up authentically. And it's something I think all brands should definitely listen to. So we'll definitely make sure that we include the link to Agora Pulse Summit. They have a master art of bringing in really amazing humans together that all have this gift of sharing and adding value. They're not pitching you. It's not fluff. It's not something I feel like you can get from a blog post. Like they're truly showing up to give you, here's how to dive into this thing, whether it's the guides like Amy and Caitlin, phenomenal, right? Like they're just amazing humans, showing you how to use it, how they've used it, and sharing their own kind of, here's what we've done for our clients, here's what we've done for us, to give you some ideas, as well as, you, Julia, and Christine, and everybody that's just been included in that summit. Anne Hanley, guys, she is a big deal. So is Jen Herman, all the people
Amanda Robinson, like so many great speakers. There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And so we're definitely going to do a recap blog on Friday. So we're going to share like takeaways from literally all of our favorite sessions. We're going to try and dive into as many as possible and put a little recap blog together so that you guys can look at some of the highlights, learn a little bit, and hopefully check it out yourself.
I didn't even know that Mike, Alton, and Jen were on here, but good timing. We're just gushing over you guys. You guys do an amazing job. I feel like today's been Agora Pulse Day. I was gushing about them earlier with a client that just signed up university. That I was like, you're gonna love it, and they just got signed up, so I'm excited. But yeah, there's so much that you can do. And again, we mentioned this when we sent out the email for this, and in the description, like social media is constantly evolving. But one thing that's going to stay true is the human element throughout, right? So that's one thing to definitely, if you can get that part right and start from the inside out and get comfortable showing up authentically, that's what all of these changes that we're mentioning are going into that, right? The audio, the real-time videos, the in-the-moment stuff that you can't polish and, perfect before you get it out. Like that's how you show up. Like our friend, Brian Fanzo says, perfection's a fairy tale, which is so true. Like, that's just it. And I think brands have to get comfortable with that. So we're hoping that these changes and updates that are happening get you excited, because it's giving you permission to make your job a lot easier, because all you got to do is show up and be you. One. And two, now the platforms are making it easier for you to do so. So definitely, if you want to recap there's definitely a long list of other changes we didn't even get a chance to talk about today in our time. Type the word recap in the comments. We'll make sure that you'll get that sign up in your inbox for the blog. So it'll give you a link to that Agora Pulse Summit as well, the changes that we discussed, and some samples in there that we've mentioned throughout the show today. So before we close it out, one, I want to thank you all for being here and joining in with us. Eric Fisher, good to see you. And Caitlin, oh my God, all your guys' ears were burning.
Yes, they came.
I love it. But definitely thank you for joining in with us. Mike, Julia, any last finishing thoughts as we close it out today?
My takeaway to everyone would be to give yourself permission to take up space online. You have a story worth sharing and people want to hear it. So don't worry about it being perfect. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be real. It's going to be human, and people are going to relate to that.
I love that. And Julia, is Instagram the best place you want people to connect with you?
Absolutely. Yes, you can watch me do daily dance parties.
That's my favorite. That gets me going. I'm telling you. She is just free, and I love the dance energy. Love it, love it. We'll have to dance it out on the way out of here. But before that, Mike, what's your
I think, and again, as always, we covered a lot. There's even more to cover. I mean, I'm really pumped about what that LinkedIn marketplace can be. So take a look at the blog post that's coming out tomorrow to learn a little bit more about that. But again, you don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to be overwhelmed with these things. We're just making sure you are aware of all the pieces. But where's your audience spending time? And, where do you need to be because of that? And just, you can experiment little bits and pieces with some of these type of things. So great stuff. Lots of things. Blog recap's going to be good.
Absolutely. And in the blog recap, we are going to hit on iOS 14. That is a big one. They just made some big changes to that as well. Next week, though, we're going to dive into all of it with Tony Christensen. Tony does ads. He's going to be talking about the iOS 14 update and what brands should know and what Facebook's kind of doing on their end to help combat it. But lots of changes there. If you're an advertiser, you definitely want to be here next.
And even if you're an Android user, there's something for you in the show. Yes, so you come too.
Absolutely. We don't judge. It's all phone user people, or even if you're just running ads, you'll definitely want to pay attention to next week. So it'll be next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right back here on the platform that you're watching on. We'll be back here next week. Until then, I hope you guys all have a great remainder to your week, and we'll just dance it out through the ending. All right. See you guys. Bye. I can't hit the button and end it and dance at the same time.